So yeah, 20 years presenting myself, and I've done about 9,000 hours of live TV, and we run our courses every month now, and it's something that we're really passionate about, and I'll introduce you to my colleague Michael in just a second as well. But it's really great for us to be able to pass on our knowledge, because you know, when you're being coached by somebody or getting advice, it's always nice to kind of get advice from people that have actually done the job, dealt with the nerves, understand confidence, understand how it is to succeed in the industry. You can be taught by somebody from a textbook or get a book or get a video, but we love the real scenarios that we can really help you with. And we run a course every single month at the studios at 3 Mills in East London, the 4-day masterclass, and we do one-to-ones, and we do some free coaching like today, and we do the free open day sessions as well. And you're always welcome if you feel you want to progress in your career and come and join us on a longer course. You're always very, very welcome to do that. So today we're starting to do more of these one-to-ones and Zooms, really to kind of let you know that we're out there and we can support you. And we like to pick subjects which are quite important to people that are starting out in their career, or perhaps they've got a bit of experience or would like to know more just about how to present yourself in front of the camera. And today we've chosen the authentic presenter, which is a great subject, and we'll come to that in a second. But before we do that, I'd love to introduce you to a great friend and colleague who is, I'd say, a veteran in the world of broadcasting. It's Michael Watkins. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Darren, and good morning to everybody else. It's great to be here on this Saturday morning talking about authenticity.
Okay, and Michael, a little bit about yourself. You are sort of been in the industry a while, haven't you? I'd say a while.
Yeah, I would say my background is essentially news and current affairs. And that encompasses many things, not just sitting behind a desk reading somebody else's words, but contributing editorially to the output, interviewing, doing pieces to camera, the whole spectrum, if you like, reporting on the scene. I was a Sky News presenter for just over 7 years, and I was a news anchor for RT in Moscow for 12 months. So I've been a news anchor for a good solid decade, another 2 years with somebody else. I've been a reporter for ITV News. I've really been on the sharp end of news broadcasting. I've actually been a broadcast journalist myself for 40 years this year. I began when I was 15. I just celebrated my 55th birthday. It doesn't feel like it. It still feels like 32. There's so much. Always, as my career has progressed, I've wanted to pass on the tips that I've accumulated about those stages that you go through from being the performer initially to just get through your first few broadcasts, to eventually relaxing and understanding what it is to be yourself. And those kinds of processes really give you a tremendous first-hand insight into how to look at the camera and be totally and completely yourself. And I think there's great utility in being able to pass that kind of thing on.
So today what we'd love to do is talk to you about what works in presenting now in this current day and age, and how to be authentic. It doesn't matter what area of presenting you want to get into. If it's news, current affairs, reporting, music, travel, lifestyle, fashion, culture, anything you can imagine, ultimately we are needing to build a relationship with the camera, which then builds the relationship with the viewer at home. So I'll look quite a bit of this over to Michael today, just to kind of give you his views, because Michael comes from a very strict professional background of news anchor broadcasting. But what's quite unique about Michael is that he has a very holistic approach to it. And once you understand it and we demystify it, it's quite fascinating, really. So if you are looking to be more confident in front of the camera, to engage and connect and really make a difference, this session should really, really help you, because it would just demystify and make it easy to understand how to deal with these things and how to deal with ourselves. Morning, just quickly before we start, to Eunice, you've joined us. Good to see you. Hi, or is it, yeah, you're just there? Nice to see you down the bottom. You managed to get through. Great stuff. We've got a chat box there, and if you've got any questions, I'll be monitoring that in this session here if Michael's talking, or Michael on the other way if I'm talking, and we will get to answer those questions. At the end of the session today, we'll try and do a quick Q&A as well, and if there's anything you'd like to know about what we can do to help you more in the future, just give us a shout. We're more than happy to answer those questions. Some lovely questions there. Well, I'm going to hold those to the end, Michelle. That's a lovely question. Super, super, super. Right. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Michael.
Thanks. Well, I suppose the first thing to do is to try and pare this back to the basics, because it is possible for people to be swamped all in one go. The word authenticity, what does it actually mean? So let's take presentation out of it in the first instance and talk about what is an authentic person. This is where we get to one of the great paradoxes, because we all want to learn about authentic presentation, but I credit you all with the fact that you already know what it is to be an authentic person. And what's the difference? What's the difference between an authentic person being authentic, which we all know how to do, let's face it, and an authentic person who's delivering messages while a camera is pointed at them? And you think to yourself, well, actually looked at that way, there is no difference. All I have to do is be my authentic self, which I'm really, really good at, whilst the camera is pointed at me. And herein lies the problem. So it's almost as if, yes, I know how to be authentic, but for goodness sake, don't point a camera at me and expect me to demonstrate exactly that same kind of free, uninhibited kind of delivery, because there's something about the presence of the camera that causes my brain to scramble. And the first casualty very often is that essential authenticity. And I think what we tend to do is we tend to put too much pressure on ourselves to perform. What is it, we'll ask ourselves, to be an authentic presenter? What does that mean? Well, my suggestion is that we already know. As we were doing the introductions just now, I noticed that everybody was being very, very authentic because the pressure was not on. You just spoke, introduced yourselves, told us where you were speaking from, and it just seemed like the easiest thing in the world, because you didn't put onto yourself the cloak of pressure. So I want to try and make this as interactive and as two-way as possible. If we were to nail down what the word authentic actually means, how would any of you define authentic? What would you say? Oh, he or she is authentic. What does that actually mean? What qualities are they demonstrating? Michelle?
That they're being themselves.
Yes, yes, they're being real. Now, if I put somebody under pressure, let's say I put them in a TV studio, or I get them to do some public speaking, then there's a bit of a challenge, isn't there? There's immediately a conflict. I potentially feel threatened by having to expose myself to the masses and be real at the same time. So what's the problem about being authentic in front of lots of people?
Michael,
Yes.
I was thinking
Go
you
ahead.
put the spotlight on other people. You're putting the spotlight on yourself and worried about what people are thinking of you rather than
Yes.
what you're doing.
Yes. And to what extent does it matter what we think the audience thinks of us? Because we don't actually know what the audience is thinking. We're making assumptions based on our own impact as to what we assume the audience must be thinking. They must be disapproving of this because they can see that I'm a bit hesitant, a bit nervous, my breathing is a bit shallow, my hands might be shaking, all of those things. But the core question is, why would members of the audience consider that those things are bad? Because I don't think they're bad at all. I think they're honest. And this is the first key point. The authentic presenter is the courageous presenter. And the courageous presenter, like the courageous tennis player, like the courageous anybody, is admired. So I think we're getting to a really good point here about the fact that an authentic presenter needs to let their emotions show. Now, in news, in certain other areas of broadcasting, you can't sort of overtly let your emotions show. But with each and every message that you deliver, each and every story that you present, whatever the subject matter, there has to be, and there always is, an underlying feeling associated with that story. This, and at its very basic level, this is important because, this is significant because, this means this, because that links with that, links with that. So the authenticity is very often drawn out via that route. You tune into the meaning behind the words, the significance, and you emphasize that meaning using intonation, using other sort of voice techniques, and that creates authenticity. So it's possible to completely disagree with the editorial line of the story that you're reading and be authentic at the same time, so long as you fully understand what you're saying, you fully understand the meaning behind what you're saying, and you communicate that. But as I say, you don't have to fully agree with what you're saying. You think to yourself, well, hang on a minute, how can I be fully authentic if me personally, deep down inside, doesn't actually agree with what I'm saying? Well, I say you've got to be pragmatic. In a sense, we've all got to work, we've all got to do things we don't necessarily want to do in the furtherance of the aims of the company or the editorial policy of the company.
I can sort of relate to that, Michael, from if you're looking at news and you're looking at some serious storylines, that is 100%, something that Michael's had to, and you'll have to deal with if you move into the broadcasting, serious grown-up world. If you are looking to do the type of presenting, which I've done over the last 20 years, which is lifestyle, it's shopping TV, it's music, travel, culture, cooking, all those type of things, we are actually in a better place because generally speaking, the authenticity would be the passion that we can have with the subject. So if you look at news broadcasting, just for one side for a minute, for that side of the authenticity, which Michael's talked about, and then we look at the authenticity of what we call general presenting, lifestyle, entertainment, shopping, that type of thing, or delivering your message or your brand, then authenticity would be the passion behind it, the belief in it. And you're finding a passion and a belief for what you're talking about, and you're doing it in a genuine way, and you're really connecting. And for me, that's the authenticity that really, really works, and which people buy into. I mean, people will buy into you. People will buy into their favorite newsreaders, for example. We've all got our favorites there. We've got our favorites for a reason, because as Michael was saying, they're allowing us to see more of them. But obviously, if you go into the realms of, the hard-hitting type of the news broadcasts and bulletins, you may not agree on certain things that you're talking about, and that's where you've got to just find that sort of happy place with it, Michael, haven't you? A balanced place with it. It's not always easy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you sort of got to go on a journey of discovery internally, really, and you've got to say, well, why did I come into journalism? Why am I coming into television? My passion is authenticity and truth. So if the organization I'm working for is too biased one side or another, I find that this conflicts with my values too much. However, This is just my point of view. If, for example, I'm presenting fashion TV and my passion is for very unconventional, the promotion of brand new designers, and the editorial policy of the station is very much geared towards the traditional, the safe, the promotion of well-established brands only, I am going to be a little bit frustrated. However, I should be able to cope with that in the name of serving the target audience, which will be watching because they are interested in what the station is promoting. So I'm still providing a public service and I'm still committed to doing that. And this is where you can be, if you like, a little bit pragmatic, a little bit tactical about your authenticity, because we could all turn around and go, no, not doing that job. I don't agree with the editorial line, and you end up potentially making yourself unemployable. So even if you personally disagree with where the station is going, you can still provide a useful public service and you can still connect authentically with your viewer, because somebody watching won't have your point of view. They'll be interested in what's being presented. And I suppose this comes on to tip number one for beginner broadcasters, if you like, and that is you've got to connect with your viewer. You've got to make them interested. I'm paying you big bickies to make them interested in what you're saying. So you've got to create that reciprocity between yourself and the viewer. And you can do that whatever the subject matter. It is true, isn't it, that essential connection, Darren, is the first step. The first thing it's the thing you've got to prioritize, perhaps over and above everything.
You have, and you've got to remember that you're going to be employed for who you are and having the ability to be yourself under pressure in front of the camera, to connect fully and engage. And you've got to engage and connect. And the key things when you're first starting out is, imagine when you're in front of the camera, we are talking to the lens. We're talking to the lens of that camera. We're not talking at a massive audience. And again, when I started presenting nearly 20 years ago, we didn't have social media. Even YouTube hadn't even launched. That was back in 2006. Crikey, I'm sounding a little bit older now. What it really, it's a bit of a psychological game, because my producer came in on my first ever TV show and he said, you ready to go, Darren? In 15 minutes, you're going to go live. And I said, all right, okay. How many people are going to be watching? He goes, oh, don't worry, nobody's watching. I said, well, no, I'd like to know how many people are going to be watching, you know? And so basically, sorry, it's the dog again, it's Saturday for you. And he said, look, there's nobody watching, probably 120,000 people max are going to be watching. I'm thinking, wow, 120,000 people are watching me in 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, I've got to be a presenter. I'm being paid to be a presenter, so I must deliver in a presenter way. Hello, good evening, and welcome. No, it's not about that. In order to talk to all of those people, you have to talk to just one of them. By talking to one, you talk to everyone. If you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody, because they're just listening in. We should be talking to that person. So in order to connect and engage in a short space of time, to really build the authenticity and be comfortable, always remember that one person is watching. Times that by 120 or a million, that's fine. But if you think about it, there is one person that we're addressing now. They might be doing the ironing, having a cup of tea, glass of wine. They might be on their smartphone, tablet, computer. And you want to make it feel like you are just addressing them, because if you start talking at them as if they're an audience, they're not going to feel completely bought in to what you're saying. That's going to help build the connection, the engagement, and bring out more authenticity of you, the presenter.
The second step to building authenticity is to have a particular mindset towards the camera itself. I remember thinking last night that it's just a communication device. It's like a mobile phone. It's simply a piece of electronic technology that transmits my image into your home, because we cannot always be in the same room at the same time. So it's good to develop a mindset of what actually is the camera. The camera is my friend. And I remember thinking yesterday, I wrote this down, that's all it is. It's a communication device. And then I wrote, it's not a device of torture designed to expose you harshly to the unforgiving masses. It really isn't. And yet everything in the setup of a live TV studio encourages you, tempts you into thinking that you're the center of the universe. The entire show rests with you. And this is all, none of this is helpful. Again, what you can do, even if you're surrounded by chaos, you can still cut through that and just go, good morning, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about the latest fashions here in London. You know, it sort of becomes easier if you focus with laser-like concentration on your viewer. This leads on to another tip potentially, which is take the pressure off yourself. Don't expect to go into your first broadcast or your first YouTube video being the totally authentic product. You're going to lapse into certain mindsets which aren't necessarily helpful. And I think it's true, Darren, to not expect too much at the outset. Just go into it, just experiment, and just find your level over time. I hate to say don't run before you can walk, but somehow that seems fitting.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, the more times you do it, even if you're self-shooting, if you're on YouTube, if you're doing something for your own business, if you're going onto television, the more times you do it, it does get easy and you build easier. It won't ever get easy. It becomes easier and you will be nervous and that's absolutely fine. And it's just about building on that. And the more times you do it, you will find your way. And I always remember when I was first presenting, I had my first ever time live on TV and I had an earpiece in and my producer, Sarah Parnell, who used to be an ITV producer, was there. And what she did, which was brilliant to all the new presenters back in the day, and even now, is that she would be in your ear and be your friendly, helpful guide in your ear, which was amazing. And I never realized the power of this. And so she would say things like, okay, everybody in the background, please quiet. It's Darren's first time live on TV. Darren, we're going to go live in 30 seconds. Don't forget, give us a smile. We're looking at camera number 1, please. Forget the other cameras for a minute. And all this is going on in your ear. And you're thinking, oh, this is all right. And stand by, Darren. And we're going live then with a big smile in 5 seconds, 4, 3, looking good, 2, 1, and cue Darren. Good morning, Darren. Oh, good morning. Welcome. And all of a sudden, you've got a friendly kind of interaction between you and the producer. And what she did, which was brilliant, is in the early days of doing that, she would guide you through parrot fashion. So she'd say, for example, with Sarah, if you were on, she'd go, Sarah, so tell us, coming up at 10:30 this morning. So you go, oh, and don't forget, coming up at 10:30 this morning. And so it'd be nice and parrot fashion. And she would build and build and build. And then gradually, over the time of working with you over the coming weeks, she'd take her focus off of the parrot fashion delivery and allow that personality of yours to grow more and you to take more ownership. And it was a wonderful way of doing it. And it taught me the very best way. And I think that's a great way of doing it. And so when you start out, you know, you'll be employed for what you can do. And it will be a bit raw and it won't be fantastic. It will be okay. It'll be good enough to be broadcast. And then you'll get better and better. And when you look at yourself back a year previous, you'll go, oh my gosh, how did that ever get to go to air? It's awful. It's not really, it's just how we've improved and we've bettered ourselves over the years.
Do you think when you first started, Darren, you were sort of doing the best you can, obviously, but sort of playing the role of what you thought a TV presenter should be in that situation? And did there come a point where there was a sort of tipping point, if you like?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, do you know, this is what we teach in our masterclasses and when we work with you in person. And this is why there's nothing better than coming to work with us or even having a free session with us in the studio. So you can really sense what we're there to kind of help you with. So the first few weeks of my career, I was very much like, hello, my name's Darren. This is a show. Welcome to the show. This is what's coming up. And it felt like I was presenting it really. And I was, because I've been employed to be a presenter. But actually, when you're employed to be a presenter, we don't actually want you to feel that you've got to present the show as a presenter, because the word presenter is quite formal. It's like, hello, good morning, welcome to the show, my name is. And you can't help but do that when you first start. But then, remarkably, as the weeks passed, I kind of woke up that morning ready to go into the studio. I thought, do you know what, today, hang on a minute, I've been employed for who I am as an individual. I need to show my true authentic self in order to really connect. So what have I got to lose? If I go on air today, on screen today, and just go, look, this is me, I'm Darren, and I'm just going to do it exactly how I want to do it. If they sack me, fine, but I can't keep this act up anymore, because as a presenter, you can fake it till you make it and stick a bit of an act on, but it becomes very difficult over the years and months or whatever it might be. So I went on that morning and I thought, sorry, I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to go out there and be true to who I am, authentic to who I am. And I came out and I said, hi, morning. It's Tuesday. Great to have you company. Hey, I've got a brilliant show coming up for you today. Coming up at 11th, and I thought, wow, this feels easy. It feels me. I don't care anymore. This is me letting go. And in my ear, they went, that's it. You've made it. You've done it. You've passed. And I went, oh my gosh, and I'm getting paid for this. What? I'm actually enjoying doing what I'm doing. I've got there's no barriers. There's no kind of pressure to go, you've got to deliver this. You have to do that. Because I knew it anyway, because I'd done my preparation. I knew what I was talking about. And I thought, look, I've been employed as Darren. I've got to be Darren. If I'm somebody else, then I'm not worthy of it. You know, I have to be authentic as myself. And it's so powerful when you get that, and you will get that. And we coach that in on the masterclasses. And when you're working, you'll get better and better and better and stronger and stronger. And then when you go on screen, you will feel more comfortable being yourself, because ultimately presenting, to be authentic, to be real, to be engaged and connect and genuine, all of it is about you being comfortable within yourself. Yes, you will be nervous, but that's okay. As Michael said, it's okay to be nervous. We can disguise nerves quite easily by that. Putting a smile on the face, taking a breath, hides everything.
You know what? I take two very powerful things from that, and I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. One is this decision that I'm going to go on and be myself no matter what, even if they sack me. Now that is very courageous and it's very risky.
Within reason, Michael. Yeah, if I went out and started swearing live on TV.
Oh, of course, yeah. And the other thing I take from it, it's the unsustainability of being somebody you're not, of playing a role, of hiding behind a facade. It's like, yeah, this is me. Warts and all, I might be a bit nervous. The audience might pick up on the fact that I'm a bit nervous. But it's like, this leads on to a key question. So what? I'm just going to go on and be me. And then the moment you go on and become you, there's this total shift in the attitude of the people around you, and the director and the producer who's scrutinizing your performance is going, yeah, that's it. That's what we need. And on the masterclass, you, Darren, have used this phrase over and over again. You've got to be yourself because everybody else is taken. And I wonder if you could expand on that, because we all bring our own unique characteristics and qualities to our presentation. We mustn't, yeah.
There's a misconception, isn't there, that we look at presenters and I've got to be like them. I've got to be like Anton Deck or Davina McCall or Oprah Winfrey or whoever it might be, because they're already succeeding and they're multi-millionaires or billionaires or whatever they might be. And if I copy them, the chances are I'm going to do just as well. But the problem is they exist. And if you start copying them, you're putting an act on, and it's obvious that you're putting an act on and you're copying them. So what you've got to do is look at who you are as an individual, and remember that the authentic you is you that is completely yourself. And you've got to take some credit in that as well, that you are, all of you, decent people. I'm sure you are. You've got great qualities, and start believing in that. And when you start putting that to the camera, coupled up with the fact that the body language and how we're delivering, with the way we're delivering the words, how we're looking, how we're feeling about what we're doing, and we've done that research and the preparation, all of it coming together forms that super presenter. And it's not us actually being a presenter. The worst thing anyone can say to me is, Darren, you will now do a presentation at 11 o'clock, off you go. And I'll be going, oh, crikey, okay, where's the words? I've got to think about the script. What happens if I forgot the words of the script? What's going to go on now? But actually, the message is all we need. If you ever get a script, don't worry too much. If you're reading the news, the chances are you've got a teleprompter, the words come up. We do that on the course as well. But the chances are that if you're doing lifestyle, travel, business related, it's about the message. And it's all about saying, look, take the pressure off yourself. Don't learn these words word for word for word for word. Get the message across. Because actually, there's more power in effective communication to camera than there are in just delivering the words. 93% of people picking up on you and you're presenting is about how you're delivering and your body language. Only 7% of the words. Now, the words are important, but the message and how you deliver it is far more important than that. So whenever you get a script, depending on the production company or what it is, say, have I got a prompter? No. Do I need to learn these off by heart? Hopefully no, because I'm useless at learning scripts, but I can deliver a message authentically. Then just deliver that message. Pick out the key bullet points. What is the message of that piece and deliver it confidently? Own the words, enjoy the words, find a bit of passion in them. Even if you don't always think, what's all this about? I'm not 100%, as Michael was saying earlier on. I had to do 2 hours of handbags live on shopping day 1 year because they messed up on the schedule. I had to sell handbags for 2 hours. I don't know anything about handbags. Do I like handbags? I don't mind them, but I don't use them because I'm just an average guy that doesn't have handbags. You know, I don't have them. So I had to put those handbags literally in my own hands and find a likability about those handbags. But I did it in a certain way so that it wasn't me. It was actually more about the third person saying, if you're the type of person that loves D&G, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada, and you love the grey, the stitching, if you like the vibrant colours of what Gucci stands for, all of this. So I was putting the passion in the hands of maybe somebody that would actually like it. So I wasn't lying, but I couldn't personally have an attachment with it because I don't use a handbag. So I had to put it in the hands of somebody else, if that makes any sense. And we sold loads. We sold them, which is brilliant, which was a relief, which was good.
But surely the beauty in that as well is that the more you focus on your passion for the message, your passion for the product, which is what you're there to do, the less you're focused on yourself. So hopefully, and in a practical sense, I know this works, out the window goes the feeling of self-consciousness. This is not about me. I'm the conveyor, and I'm here because I'm good at conveying the passion. So it's not about me, Darren Simons, it's about my ability to talk about that. So the product is tops.
Yes, two things happened to me to exactly tick that box, Michael. And one of them was my second ever time live on TV was one of the main presenters on mainstream. This is the peak time, Saturday night on this particular channel. They couldn't get into work because they were unwell, and I happened to be in the studio, and I said, Darren, will you go on and take over? Will you go on the show and do the 3 hours of live tonight? It's peak time, we haven't got anybody else. And do you know what? Because it wasn't, I was helping the situation out, it took that pressure off, and I went on, and it was much less pressure than somebody going, it's your first or your second, you're going prime time, off you go. It was like, well, I'm helping the production out. So that actually really helped me thinking it's not about me, it's about the show. And I'm there to cover the show, which actually helped with the nerves and all of that, which, Michael, I can relate to there. And secondly, as well, you're quite right. When I'm talking about something and I use the words like what I love about this, what really intrigues me about this, what excites me about this, or what I'm really interested about this, because then I'm connecting with it emotionally. I'm also taking away the me and putting the onus on that particular product or whatever I'm talking about. And it allows us then to be ultra confident with it and not be too self-aware. And we can get on with just enjoying what we're talking about. It's very, very powerful. So two things there really relevant. Michael, I know we haven't got too much time, sadly. I mean, these things always go quite quickly. Shall we open up to some questions? Because it would be great to help some individuals.
Yes, just very quickly, just one very quick comment off the back of what you were saying. One of the greatest things you can do in life, one of the greatest antidotes to feeling self-conscious, and the thing which you exemplified perfectly with what you just said, was being in service to others, as opposed to the only available alternative, which is being in service to myself. If I'm in service to myself, then naturally I'm more self-conscious, I'm more worried about me, I'm more worried about my experience of this. But if I'm in service to others, now everything begins to fall into place. And the audience can implicitly sense that you're putting them first and not your own ego. So then they warm to you. And then the whole experience begins to snowball. So how can I serve my audience? What am I passionate about? And everything else really takes second place. Just before we open up the questions, I wonder, Darren, if it'd be possible just to show the Kirsty Young clip. This is just an interesting example of a broadcaster who I intensely admire. This closed the BBC's coverage of the Queen's funeral last September or October. What I think is great about this clip is that she is being totally vulnerable, and you know exactly what she's feeling, but somehow she makes it more effective for that reason. Just have a look.
What a momentous day it's been. From the might of the military parades and the splendour of Westminster Abbey to that hushed intimacy of St. George's Chapel in Windsor. So often felt in recent days that a veil of sorrow has covered the nation, but the Queen's funeral has surely exemplified her reign. She united us in one final act of togetherness, unifying the United Kingdom and indeed the world beyond in respect, ceremony, and to their word. And today we have come together, many of us with tears in our eyes, but all of us with an abiding warmth in our hearts for all that she gave. Just over 3 months ago, the world and a certain little bear said, thank you for. We will surely be ever grateful to have had that final opportunity to celebrate with Her Majesty a remarkable and long reign. If, as she once said, grief is the price we pay for love, then the weight of our collective sorrow is testament to the depth of affection. She was history. Queen Elizabeth II is gone, but she will surely never be forgotten.
It broke up a couple of times during the middle there, I think, for me at least. But I think this exemplifies the point that you don't really need to hide anything. She remains supremely professional, but she wasn't worried about trying to contain her emotions in that moment. And I think she struck a very good balance. But as you say, Darren, comments, please, comments, questions. How can we help?
Yeah, Sarah, you dropped us a quick message. When I'm in front of an audience on this happy, jolly facade, how can you drop a persona? What do you mean? Do you want to rephrase it? Unmute and just rephrase that slightly?
Well, I think you've just answered that. It's just that I feel that when I get in front of a camera, or if I do improv, I suddenly come on going, oh, hi, and I start to kind of like, and when I look back at when I do things on camera, I always think I look a little bit too, I can't think of what the word is, but it's unnatural. So a bit
over-presented, yeah?
Over-presented is a good word. So I'm trying to drop that and just come across more natural. But I think you've given a couple of tips on how to do that, which is, one was to focus more on the message. Yeah, I think there's another one.
Yeah, and Sarah, have you come from a performance background in your time? So did you ever at school or in later years, did you ever go on stage? Were you performance at all?
I've always got, no, not really. I've done a journalism degree. So my background was always print journalism. So but I've always had a massive, huge passion for the creative arts. Like I love theatre and I love drama and I love. I don't personally. I do it a little bit myself just for fun, but
yeah, I can. So what generally happens is we have two types of people that come on the course. Some people are quite sort of quiet, and we really need to lift the energy when they're up there to be themselves in front of the camera. And they go, yeah, but I've gone over the top, it's ridiculous. And then they still actually, when they look at themselves back, go, oh yeah, crikey, that's me. It didn't feel like it. And there's other people, probably a little bit like yourself, Sarah, who are going, hi, welcome. It's today I've got this. And then we're saying to you on the course, right, Sarah, bring it down. We've got to have that, what we call happy, controlled excitement. Okay. And that is just to bring down the energy, but still have the excitement and intrigue. And if you can hear my voice now, I'm not shouting. I'm actually putting the tone and the emphasis in the delivery instead of going, hi, I'm really excited, or I'm really excited about this. Because then what you're doing is you're controlling it. You're not losing the personality or that energy, but you're just controlling it. And that is just a bit of practice, Sarah. You will get there. And again, if you do get some professional coaching ever, then that will hopefully, you know, resonate really well with you how to deal with that situation, because the chances are when you do your presentations, there's some adrenaline there, there's some nerves there, and we just need to make sure that we funnel and channel that so that it doesn't go black.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to get it so it's a more natural.
Yeah, and that's just practice, and it's a bit of coaching and a bit of practice, and you know that's what we specialize in, and we've worked with. Over the last 15 years, we work on average with about 700 or 800 people a year. So you think how many thousands of people that is. And there's always those two types. There's one that is really over presenting on camera, we bring down, and the other person might need to lift it more. But ultimately, you know, we get the results at the end. Yes, Michael, did you want to chip in there?
Just very, very briefly, I concur totally with what you're saying, Darren. So there need to be different approaches, Sarah, between the ad-libbed bits and the bits where you're using the messaging to make an impact. Funnel all your energy into the messaging with the impact, but dial back on the ad-libbed bits. The ad-libbed bits, hello, welcome, great to see you. These are the parts where you want to create intimacy, a one-to-one connection. And then you can sort of ramp it up a little bit when you go, well, this is important and this and this. And I'm here to tell you that A, B, and C. And that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Good night. So I'm push with the messaging. But when I'm being me, as Darren says, I'm just going, hello. So create the intimacy and then punch us with the message. Okay. Those two approaches can work in tandem.
We got Raheem there as well. Raheem, thank you very much for that, saying it's not about me. That's been my mantra whenever I'm hosting. Good. I'm really pleased about that, because yeah, do you know what? I mean, there's a lot of presenters out there with egos. I never had one. Sometimes I wish I had a big ego in order to, you know, it's all about me. It'll get me through when I'm feeling nervous and give me the confidence. But actually, that's the lovely thing you've said, you know, it's a great mantra to have, that, you know, it's not about me, it's about whatever the situation is, you know, and well done. Yeah, I think that is fantastic. I completely agree with you there. Any questions, people? Any more questions at all about the authenticity? I know, Michelle, at the start, you said, you know, what would you say to your younger self, Michael? Do you mean in terms of life, Michelle? Do you mean in confidence? Or as Michael probably answered a bit of that during this session, what was your point with that?
I think it's more about when he started out, like what would he have said to himself when he was younger, like, or, you know.
Good question.
Yeah.
I would have said, Michael, don't put on a voice, don't turn it into a performance, don't go into this to project your ego, and just use it as a mechanism to talk to one person. So often I would go into a studio with a big breaking story thinking the world is on my shoulders. The pressure, I'm holding Great Britain together, you know, And all that stuff is nonsense, really, because the actual objective reality is there's somebody at home on TV, watching the TV, keen to hear the message. I think the other thing I would have told my younger self is, Michael, you're invisible. Nobody can see you, because their focus is not on you, Michael, per se. They're not scrutinizing you. They don't switch on the news to scrutinize Michael Watkins. They switch on the news to hear what's on the news. So their focus is not on me. So it's not about me. It's about the message that I'm delivering. So in a sense, even though I'm the presenter on screen, I am invisible because their focus is not on me, it's on the messaging.
Yeah. Of course, if you get to be a big brand name like Graham Norton, Jonathan Ross, or anyone, you know, Oprah Winfrey, I say a few different names like that, you do become a bit of the star, a bit of the celebrity. So the onus can be on you sometimes, you know, more than the guest, you know, if you're watching one of those guest shows as well, or chat shows. But, you know, when you're certainly starting out, it's about delivering that message. And folks, I hope you enjoyed that today. I do hope you've enjoyed the session. And you know, we do love what we do. We're very passionate about it. And if you want to keep your eye on, you know, obviously the website, etc., you'll see some more sessions coming up. Please do join us. We've got the free open day next Sunday. That's Sunday the 23rd. If you do want to come to the studios, have a cup of tea or a coffee. Some of you won't because you're from overseas and just probably wouldn't be practical. We've got the master classes. We've got one weekend class coming up as well. So we only do a couple of those a year, the weekend classes, but the 4-day master classes run every month. Abigail, just really quickly, because you came on a master class, just for anyone that in the future, if they're thinking about it, how was your experience with this? I know you had a great time, so thank you for that. But what did you find it enabled you to achieve or feel about yourself?
It's interesting because I think the key takeaway was the talk to one person, and that's a big difference because I do a lot of training and workshops, and for me it's about not just talking to the audience, it's connecting. So that was a really good takeaway. And then just everything, there was so much involved. I didn't realize how much was involved in terms of cadence and tone of voice and how you end your sentences, and the impact it has. So that was really, really good. But and even actually the videos we recorded at the end, when I put mine onto LinkedIn, that got more reactions and more kind of engagement than any other videos I've done in the past. So you did something so that at the end of that whole training, it did have a massive impact. I just haven't been able to recreate it, so I need to keep going and practicing a lot more, I think. But it was really, really good.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, thanks, Abigail. Yeah, and again, you know, if you do need any advice, drop us an email. We're always here to offer anyone. You know, a lot of people say, well, why do you do so many free things? Well, why not? I mean, it's quite nice to do. I mean, you know, we enjoy what we're doing, and we've always run the free open days where you can come in and learn a bit. And even if we never see you again, that's absolutely fine. There's no pressure to go, you must come on a course. It's just really enjoyable. Michael's extremely generous as well with his time. I know Michael's very busy as well. But any closing words, Michael, just to wrap up today?
Yes, you can go on and you can be you. You don't have to impress anybody. You can be your whole self. Be professional, of course. Attempt to make an impact, of course. Remember the messaging. Remember the core idea that you're trying to convey. But essentially, television is run by human beings. We're all fallible. We've all got faults. We've all got greatness. We've all got imperfections, and all of that is okay. So practice at home, switch the camera on and just go for it. And you may need to do it 10 or 12 times before you even feel remotely comfortable. But practice, 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 practice. And the comfort, the sense of authenticity, the lowering of the guard the lowering of the self-protection will come over time.
And our job on that masterclass is to get you to that level very quickly. A couple of questions, Sarah. Yeah, the masterclass is the 4-day signature course. That's the paid course where you get the showreel, career guidance support. We do lots of Zooms afterwards as well. So that's the career one. That is, come on that, and we'll do our best to help you and give you the best training. The free open day session, that's every month as well. That's like a Sunday for a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon at the studios. We come and have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, some biscuits, or whatever. Come and have a chat with us, see the studios, come and meet us, and have a bit of coaching as well. But if you are serious, the masterclass is always great. And if anyone does want to do the masterclass, and we're very good with names. We're not a huge company where we forget you. If you are interested, drop me an email, and I'm sure we can do a bit of a special deal to get you booked in, because it'd be nice to work with you. But you let us know whatever works for you. Guys, have a lovely Saturday. Thank you so much for your nice comments on the side as well. Please keep in touch. We're going to pick some more free sessions as well. So if you have a little think and you want to drop us an email what you would like us to include on a free session on the next one, Michael and myself will have a look at it, and we'll decide if we can deliver it to you, and if we can, we'll bring it to you. So it could be anything. It could be about how to interview. It could be more about career, more about brand building, self-shooting, setting up a YouTube channel, going viral. It could be anything at all. So have a little think, drop us an email, and then we'll have a look and we'll bring that to the table, and hopefully you can join us then. All right. So folks, Michael, thanks ever so much to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Sarah. Ishmael, Rahim,
Thank you.
Abigail, Max, and also Eunice earlier on as well. It was really great to see you, and have a lovely Saturday, whatever you intend to do. And we'll catch you very soon, and hopefully see you on the free open day. And we'll see you soon. Thanks now.
Great. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks everyone. Thanks,
Thank
Darren.
you.